The key to having the best suspension for you is... Alright guys, this might be a long video, this might not be a long video, but I want to talk to y'all a little bit about suspension. And what I need to preface this video is this is my views with my Tenere and listening to other people with other suspensions and trying to make my own mind up. Hopefully I can help you make your mind up. If you're watching this video, you're probably one, either trying to learn, or two, you know, which direction to go. Well, hopefully I can point you in the right direction. And let me just start off by saying that is washboard Sandy. Let me just start off by saying I am extremely satisfied with the suspension setup that I have. No, I didn't go with Öhlins or Rally Raid or Race Tech. Man, it's the factory stock Tenere suspension. Now the key to having the best suspension for you is you have to be brutally honest with yourself. How do you ride? And what are you going to use the bike for? And this is the tricky part. Don't make your suspension build based on what you want to do. Base it on how you ride the bike. Not on how you plan to ride the bike, but how do you ride the bike? That was the hardest thing. Like when I got this bike, I knew I was going to ride on the trails. I knew it. So I had J&M Racing, John Mitchell over there. I had him set this bike up the way he set my WR450. And he set it up for a 240-pound rider because at the time I did weigh 240 pounds. And now that I'm down to 220, the suspension is still fine because I told him set it up like he did my 450, my WR450, and guess what? Because I told him I was going to be riding on the trails. The trail suspension is different than road suspension, obviously, and it's a little bit softer, a little bit more compliant, a little more plush, but at the same time we do have a lot of whoops, and I knew it. I told him, I said, I'm not going to be hitting the whoops hard. But if I do want to hit the whoops hard, all I have to do is just adjust the suspension, because the spring rate is what keeps you from bottoming out. Your valving is what gives you either your comfortable ride or keeps you from going over the handlebars and getting bucked off. I'm not going to go into the workings of how they do, of how it is. I just want y'all to know that with this Tenere suspension, hey bunny, you don't have to go all in $7,000 worth of suspension unless you want to. You can find a reputable dealer. Yeah, you want to find a reputable... Yeah, that's raining over there. Son of a bitch. You want to find a reputable builder of suspension and know what you want. And all this gold valving stuff, that's hearsay. You know, according to my builder, a lot of that stuff is just a selling point. It's like flashy lures for bass fishermen. Most of the time, the lures are only to attract the fishermen. And that's the same thing with a lot of parts, like the gold valving and all this other stuff. You know, that's great if you're going to be riding on a pro level. But if you're just an average Joe like me that gets out on the trails and likes to have fun, then yeah, it's not... Oh, damn. Hold on. Somebody's calling me. Where was I? Talking about suspension. As far as the gold valves and stuff, you get what you want to. I'm not telling you not to, but just think about it and do research on it. Now, the key thing that he did on this was the mid valve. The mid valve on the factory Tenere is not the best. Now, I don't know about the 25 models. This is the 2023 Tenere 700 and below that I'm talking about. The mid valve is not the best, so he definitely upgraded the mid valve whenever he did my components. I have been riding this bike in my trail setup for so long, except for when I went to Moab. And even then, when I was in Moab, I only backed it out like 4 clicks. I went from 13 clicks out, you know, from 13 to 16, and it really did go, it did help out there on those roads. And here recently, going on these group rides, I've been going at somewhat of a slower pace, and even now it's a little bit of a slower pace. And the ride was just getting out of hand. I mean, it was bouncy as hell. I'm like, this is rough. I damn sight couldn't sit down. So yeah, I had to do something. So I went ahead and just closed all of my valving off and reopened them up. I think I'm like 18 on compression, 18 out on compression. All right, where you going, son of a bitch? 18 out on compression and 18 out on compression and 15 on compression on the shock. And my rebound, I went ahead and lightened it up because I got my rebound set for riding on the trails. Now, if you don't have the rebound set right and you hit a bump on the trails, your ass is OTB, baby. OTB. That's my worst nightmare, getting kicked over the handlebars. Why'd I got the hiccups? I ain't even been drinking yet. So I opened up the valving everywhere, adjusted my sag for my new weight, plus with all my stuff on. And holy crap, this thing, I could make it more plush, but it is great the way that I have it set up because it is the perfect in between. I know I can go ride trails on it. It's still firm enough to get me through the sand without question, but it's still plush enough like this right here. The edges are so much more smooth when hitting them. It is not rough at all hitting these bumps. Hey, look at them clouds. There you go. My experience with the factory suspension has been great for what I do, and I give it hell on the trails. I give it hell on the road. Now, for you guys that are more experienced, the one thing that I do miss is my high-speed compression. I do miss my high-speed compression on the rear shock. What that means for you new guys is that really helps whenever you're, 1, riding in sand, or 2, off-road a whole lot. You know, other than that, high-speed compression isn't a huge thing on the street. That's why it's not on a factory shock. But it is nice to have whenever you're on the trails, and I do miss it. If you have any questions about suspension on this bike, and if I can answer them, you can just go ahead and ask me for whatever questions that I missed in talking about the suspension, because all I know is there is a lot of people questioning the suspension. Suspension is like trying to choose tires. It depends on what you ride, how truthful you are with yourself, where you ride, you know, what, where, and how. It's very personalized, tires and suspension, because yeah, there's just so many variables. Do not kid yourself. Do not overestimate yourself. Be truthful as to what you are going to do with your Tenere, because if you're not going to be happy with your suspension build. And if you got any questions, yeah, hit me up. Go ahead, ask a question. I'll answer it to the best of my knowledge. It's either going to be an answer or, well, you're going to have to figure that out on your own. That's subjective. Yeah. All right. Dang on. It's freaking windy. All right. We'll see y'all in the next one. I'll get my ass back to the house.